You don't hate studying. You hate the way you've been doing it. Every time you sit down, it feels heavy, forced, and exhausting, like you have to push yourself just to begin. That feeling isn't random. It's something that has been studied in psychology and neuroscience. The way you study directly changes how your brain responds. And here's what most people never realize. Your brain is actually designed to enjoy learning, but only when it's activated the right way. Otherwise, it will do everything it can to avoid it. In this video, you're going to learn how to use emotion, identity, and simple mental triggers to make studying feel natural instead of forced. And as you go through this, you'll start to notice a few unexpected ideas that completely change how you think about motivation. If you pay attention, you'll notice something strange. Some people study less, but remember more. Meanwhile, others spend hours trying to focus and still retain almost nothing. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think the difference is effort or intelligence. It's not. It's strategy. Your brain doesn't reward effort the way you think. It rewards efficiency. When you study in a way that doesn't match how your brain processes information, you burn energy without creating strong enough signals to remember anything. Over time, your brain starts linking studying with stress and boredom. And once that happens, motivation drops even more. So the goal isn't to push harder. It's to change how your brain experiences studying. One of the most powerful ways to do that is through emotion. Your brain remembers things better when they are tied to emotion, because emotion signals importance. If you study in a neutral or negative state, your brain treats the information as unimportant. But when you connect learning with positive emotion, retention becomes much easier. Imagine this. You sit down to study while your favorite music is playing. The environment feels good. You're slightly energized instead of drained. Over time, your brain starts linking that feeling with focus. This is called emotional anchoring. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a specific playlist, a scent you enjoy, or even a small reward you only give yourself when you study. These small things train your brain to associate studying with something positive instead of something stressful. But this alone won't fix it. Another major factor is your internal dialogue. The way you talk to yourself matters more than you think. When you say, "I have to study," you create resistance. It feels like pressure, and your brain naturally pushes back. But if you change it to, "I choose to study," something shifts. "I have to" creates resistance. "I choose to" creates ownership. That small change moves you from obligation to control. And when you feel in control, you're much more likely to take action. Over time, this builds identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is forced to study. You start seeing yourself as someone who chooses to improve. And once your identity changes, discipline feels much more natural. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. There's a technique used by elite athletes that almost no one applies to studying. It's called visualization. Before you begin, take a moment and imagine yourself finishing your study session successfully. You feel calm, focused, and confident. You see yourself completing the task and feeling satisfied. This works because your brain cannot fully distinguish between real and imagined success. That mental rehearsal activates dopamine, which connects studying with reward. So instead of starting in resistance, you start in anticipation. And if you combine this with slow, deep breathing, you can shift your mental state even faster. Your body relaxes, your mind clears, and focusing becomes easier. This isn't about waiting for motivation. It's about creating the state that makes action feel natural. But mindset is only part of the equation. Your environment also plays a huge role. If you study in bed, or in a space where you usually relax, your brain gets mixed signals. That's why you feel sleepy or distracted. Your brain associates that space with rest, not focus. A simple solution is to create a dedicated study space. It doesn't have to be perfect, just consistent. A clean desk, a firm chair, and minimal distractions. Over time, this becomes a trigger. The moment you sit down, your brain recognizes the pattern and switches into focus mode automatically. You're not forcing concentration anymore. You're activating it. And here's another powerful method most people overlook: learning by explaining. When you try to explain something in simple terms, your brain is forced to process it deeply. Instead of just recognizing information, you actively understand it. Imagine trying to teach a concept to someone who knows nothing about it. If you can explain it clearly, you understand it. If you can't, you've found the gap. This process activates multiple areas of the brain at once, which strengthens memory and makes learning more engaging. That's why turning information into simple explanations, stories, or analogies makes studying feel less boring and more natural. When you combine all of these elements, something changes. Studying stops feeling like a burden. It becomes something you can control. You're not waiting for motivation anymore. You're creating it. Now, the real question isn't how much you understand. It's what you're going to apply first. You don't need to do everything at once. Pick one thing. Try improving your environment. Change your internal dialogue. Or spend 1 minute visualizing before you start. Start small. Pick one technique. Try it for 10 minutes today, and pay attention to how different it feels. Because once you experience that shift, you'll realize something important. Studying isn't something you have to force. It's something you can train your brain to enjoy.